we're going to review here for the final. And if we look on eLearn page, let's get rid of that page and let's bring up the class page. If you look at the top here, let's go back to the main page of the class. I have provided for you a chance for some grace. Hey, this is supposed to be visible to you. Let me make that visible to you. That's settings. Let's see here. There's a practice for the final and get credit for it. So let me make sure that it's showing. Where is it? There. Common module settings. Show. There. Save. Here is what is available there. You can practice and get credit at the same time. I'm going to jump to the Excel part of this practice and get credit assignment and go over some of these things in Excel. I'm going to jump back to Excel, and basically here's the deal. For the final, it's going to be 4 projects, but a smaller Word project, a smaller PowerPoint project, but mainly a large Excel project and a database project. You'll be building a database completely from scratch. Your Excel problem will be an Excel spreadsheet where you have to fill in answers and complete some things. But for this practice, might as well practice by doing one from scratch so you're ready for the final Excel project where there's a lot more things than just a budget table. But this budget table will cover some things that is very likely to come up in your life and any job you have, because you're always accounting for things. Even if you're not the accountant, Excel spreadsheets and knowledge of Excel spreadsheets will get you a better job. And that's our goal, is for you to have a great job so you can have a family and raise thousands of children. And where's my Excel? Oh, I guess I didn't have it on my toolbar. All right, I'm going to fire up Excel. Make sure it's pinned to my taskbar as well. And we're going to create this budget table. So fire up Excel. And yes, I want it to be my default. Start a blank spreadsheet. And I can zoom in here for you. Okay, so I'll put the assignment, I'll shrink my Excel window just a little bit here. And first of all, we're going to create a budget table for a camp ministry. So let's go ahead and put your name and the title. So I'll put budget, how about camp ministry budget projection. Make up a camp name if you like, or pick your favorite camp. Let's call it yearly budget. How about that? And I'll be going over extra things beyond this little assignment if we get through this. Okay, columns heading are the months of the year. Remember how we can do the months of the year? Let's go ahead and put your name there. All right, and then we'll put our column headings for the months. Remember, our first column is going to have row headings, so we're going to skip that first column and start with the month right there. And remember how we can just type in the month January and let it complete for the rest of the year. So I think I'll start right here. I'm going to leave a blank row just for a little space there, and I'll type January. And come back, grab the fill handle, and drag it out all the way out to December. typical budget table will have some entries for income. So I'm going to come back to the first row and maybe put income here even though I haven't specified it yet. Oh, wait a minute. I'm probably going to do a balance. I'm going to move that down one, and we'll have beginning balance. I like to have the balance at the beginning of each month. All right, now we want to put in some expenses. Let's see, we have some income. So we're going to have gift, support, camper fees. So I'll leave room for that. Gifts, fee, I'll just put fees. And our January beginning balance is $50,000. Not a very large balance, especially if we have people working, residents. That'll cover about a month of expenses. So a little short on balance, but we'll fill in our different percentages. Oh, it looks like we're going to base our expenses on percentages of income, of total income. So as we come down here and start putting in expenses, yeah, I'm going to indent these. Oh, I don't need to indent income. I'm going to indent the sub-items. I'll put expenses. And let's see, we have food, crafts, craft supplies, staffing, and insurance. Now, I'm not sure how realistic a 10% insurance is. That may be high. I don't know. I haven't checked insurance prices for camps. And then we're going to put in our total expenses. And I'm going to indent all of those since they're part of expenses. I forgot to do a total income, so I'm going to right-click on 9 and insert a row and put total for total income. Now, before I start calculating my expenses and income, we need to know that we do have some fixed assumptions table of these 4 things: food, craft, staff, insurance, 30, 20, 20, 10. So let's go put down here in our assumptions table. Food assumptions, crafts, staff, and insurance. I'm going to outdent the assumptions, so these are all indented sub-items of assumptions. And it's 30%, 20%, 20%, and 10. And remember, whenever I refer to these cells, I'm going to use absolute referencing, which means the dollar signs, I like to call them the stickies, on the references to any time to these cells. Okay, so we've got our assumptions, we've got our beginning balance. Now let's start laying in our income. We're estimating that our I forgot to see, we have some fixed expenses: utilities, salaries, maintenance. I better add that to my expenses. Forgot to have that. So let's come down to my expenses: utilities, salaries, and insurance. So I'm going to insert a row: utilities, salaries, maintenance. Let's see, I think should I do fixed before variable? Typically they do fixed before variable. Here's a little trick. If I have 3 rows selected, when I do an insert above, it inserts 3 rows because I had 3 selected. So if you know you need more than 1, you can just select several and then do an insert. It inserts as many as you had originally selected. So I can quickly insert 3 rather than doing row, insert 3 times. So we have utilities, salaries, and maintenance. There's my fixed expenses. And remember how we're going to plan this out. We're going to get it all correct for January, and then just pull it, do a fill handle over to the right, saving ourselves a lot of work. So 1,000, 10,000, and 1,000. Fixed expenses. Our income, what are we guessing for income? We're planning on about 5,000 per month for gift support. Let's go ahead and put that. And remember, we're going to fill handle over, so I don't have to fill them all in yet. The only camper fees we get are 20,000 for June, July, August. We're only running summer camp. Now, realistically, there would be some income during the other months, but let's first of all just say, hey, we're starting with just summer camps, 20 grand each month. And since that's quickly filled in, I can fill handle that to those months. So when I get to fees, I guess I won't be fill handling the fees. We're going to just have that for those months. But the others, I can fill handle across. Now, total income is going to be what? I want to give this a try. Total income for January.
Balance plus income minus in parentheses gift plus fees, or actually no, balance.
Very close. With income, we don't need to include the balance in our income.
Okay.
That will be calculated later at the end of the month. Income is simply the sum of those two. So here's 2 ways you could do it. You could use the summation, and it automatically selects the 2 above. That would work. Some people forget how to do summation, and they remember that they can do this. Equal that plus that. Both are correct and will be accepted as a solution. It's quicker to know the summation and sum together the things you want just by clicking the summation and making sure what's selected. Sometimes people forget this format, B7 colon B8. They forget that if they drag over another cell, it'll mess up. So remember, you can do it just adding or the summation. Summation is handy when you have lots of things to add together. 2 things either way. Now, I could now fill in my total all the way across to December. And if I'm assuming gifts all the way across to December, I'm going to zoom out and go ahead and do that.
B6 plus B7, right?
Well, it depends if you are on the exact same lines as I am. It's the 2 incomes above the total would be what needs to be added together. So if you are on the exact same lines as me, it would be B7 and B8. But if your income is on B6 and B7, that would be correct. I'm going to fill handle over my total out to December. Gifts the same all the way out to December. And now I have my total income. Oh, sorry. Sorry, not the income. Income doesn't go all the way out to December. Or the balance doesn't go out to December. The gifts go all the way out to December. There we go. So big money coming in. We're not even covering our monthly salaries with those gifts. So we're in trouble already, but we'll have to maybe adjust our assumptions, maybe adjust some of our fixed expenses, cut the salaries.
The other months, they are 3,000 for the fees.
Oh, let me see. Oh, there we go. I didn't see that. Yeah, 3,000 for the month. Very good. So I'll put 3,000 for fees. Still a little under, not 300. Still not covering salaries. So I'm going to do a copy and then a select and a control V and a select and control V so I don't tromp over the 20 grand in the camper months. I guess with the 20 grand that starts to cover salaries, but we're still short here, so we're going to definitely have problems. Notice I'm not doing the balance because that's going to be calculated based on the previous month. All right, now let's go into our expenses using our assumptions table. So here we have an assumptions table, percentage of income, 30% of income we're going to spend on food. That's our assumption. So what would that calculation look like?
It would be income divided by 0.3, or multiplied by 0.3.
Right. Income, there's my total income, times my food percent is what the food cost is going to be. So my food expense is going to be equal to my total income for that month times the food expense assumption. And what do we do with that? When I point to something in my table, F4 will put the sticky dollar signs around it. And remember why we're doing that. Because, right, we're copying the formula across. We don't want this to move. Think of that as holding that in place when I copy the formula. Stickies don't matter except when you're going to plan to copy a formula somewhere else. Otherwise, absolute referencing, you don't have to worry about. Remember, this is called absolute referencing. It's not absolute value. Absolute referencing is the stickies. Okay, so food times the absolute reference to the percentage. Same thing for crafts, equal to the income for that month times the craft percent. Stickies, F4. Staff, same thing, total times staff percent with stickies. And insurance is equal to total times insurance with the stickies. Remember, anytime we do a formula, we start with the equal symbol and then start entering what's being calculated. Now at this point, we have all our expenses. Let's go ahead and create a total. This time, the summation really saves us time. Summation for the total expenses, and make sure what it automatically selects. That's nice how we had that empty row there. It causes the summation to stop where I expect. And hitting enter shows us our expenses are way over our income for January. So we know we're in trouble. Let's go ahead now and do ending balance for that month. And this is where the marriage saving formula comes in. It's your chance to prove you are worthy. Who is willing to step up and give it a try? You cannot graduate from Emmaus without passing the marriage saving formula. No, you can't get your marriage worthiness certificate.
Well, let's see. Well, you would do 50,000 minus. Well, I guess technically you would do 50,000 plus total income minus total
You are worthy. Yes, that is correct. The beginning balance plus income minus expenses. That gives you your ending balance. And so we've lost a lot of money already. So we're definitely on this projection, we're not projecting a great year. One more formula that it's a little tough sometimes because you're under pressure at the final. So think about this. Our balance for the next month is what? Our beginning balance for the next month is what?
Is the ending balance plus income.
Yeah, just the ending balance of last month. So it's simply equal to what I calculated here. I don't have to redo the formula. I just say, well, we calculated it down here. That's the same as the beginning balance for February. Now I can fill handle everything over to December. And don't worry that numbers don't come out right initially because I haven't fill handled everything else yet. And if I fill handled it right, let's see what happens here. I can watch my ending balance for each month. It's going to go down, 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 and oh man, we got troubles. By the end of the month, we're short 64,000, which is not terribly far from reality for a lot of ministries, because sadly, people aren't giving as much. Camps try to keep their fees down. So what is our solution? Well, we can cut out the crafts. Or no, food's the biggest expense. Let's cut out food. Feed them ramen noodles for every meal. That would cut our food percent. We could cut the salaries. Everyone lives on their own. They have to get their own support. We could cut out that fixed expense.
Didn't you increase fees?
We could increase fees, right? So we could increase our camper fees and go out there and ask for gifts. We could cut out insurance. Who needs insurance? We're just going to trust the Lord. And if someone gets a huge medical expense, I guess we're going under. Or we just tell people you have to sign these papers that your personal insurance is covering. I don't know if 10% insurance, $800 a month, if that's reasonable for a camp. Just imagine all the liabilities that camps can have. So many kids and so many things to do. Another reason you'll see, in order for people to keep their insurance fees down, they'll have very boring games where no one can ever be injured. What fun is it if you can't be injured? Come on.
Wouldn't that actually just stay the same though throughout the?
Yeah, the insurance.
It goes up during summer because that's when the kids are there.
Yeah, and remember our assumption may not be correct. You're right in looking at that. Is insurance really a percentage of income, or should it be a fixed expense? This may be incorrect in what we're doing. So this is a very simplistic look at a budget, just more for practice. Here is where a lot of people make a mistake on the final, is you get your numbers right and you're so worried about getting your formulas right, you stop here and forget now to format your table to make it look nice and put it in an accounting format. So let's just do that right now. Select all our numbers. Since we're dealing with dollars in all our cells here, let's go ahead and put those in comma format. Then, like the book does, either in the ending balance, let's go ahead and do ending balance, and besides comma format, let's go ahead and put ending balance in accounting format as well, just to remind us we're dealing with US dollars. So everywhere else, put in at least comma format, and see then it looks more like a real accounting table. Pennies are lining up, numbers are lining up nicely. That's one step. Question?
Does this parentheses mean it's a negative?
Yeah, in the default comma format, parentheses means negative.
Okay.
Now remember, I don't know if I asked you to do this, but remember, I can select those numbers and I can go down to the number additional options here and choose, okay, if I'm going to do parentheses, if we're going to do a accounting format, or is it currency? There we go. In currency, I can make it go red as well. That's a little emphasizing the negative parts, especially if you want to show this and print out in color to your constituents. They'll notice, hey, we're losing money. What should we do? Let's give more gifts. Now, it still is a little hard on the eyes. Here's what I like to do. Select the whole table and go up to Format as Table and choose one of the lovely formats you already have here available to you. And choose any color scheme. I'm choosing one that does have the header across the top, so the top row will have headers. And I'll choose, how about, I'll go with the blues, the lighter blues. And that top row, see how that top row has that goofy pull down? I'm going to change that to convert to range. And then delete that extra column 1 that they got added there. Now it's in a nice readable format. In the book they had you select the individual rows and put it in total. So if I could select that whole row by just clicking the gray. Oh, actually, I don't want to go across the whole row. I'm going to select that row and put that in cell style of total. And let's see, the other ones are a decent style already. Let's go ahead and make the title nice and big by choosing let's go ahead and do a merge and center of the yearly budget and put that in cell style of title. Where's title? There. And it's still kind of small, so I'm going to increase the size of that. And put it in bold. Our assumptions table is right down here. I'm just going to do a fill of that with maybe a, let's see. And I'm going to insert one little row in front of that just to separate my assumptions table. So there you have a decent looking yearly budget. Remember to put it in nice formats after you get your formulas right. Whenever you're dealing with budget tables, you want to put it in at least comma format and typically at least one of the total rows in accounting format. And I see this got changed back because I changed it to total. I'm going to go back and put those in accounting format with the dollars. Then you have a nice professional looking budget table. Let's do one more thing here. Remember with accounting tables, some people like to see pictures. So what would be the good row to actually put on a graph? What's the important numbers in here?
Expenses.
Yeah, expenses. We could do our total expenses, or we could do our ending balance. Let's go ahead and do expenses. Remember how that's done. I want the headings to be my months, so let's go ahead and choose my month names, and then Control select through the total expenses that I want to graph. So these will be the headings, these will be the numbers. Then I do Insert, choose my bar chart. I think it would be a good bar chart. And choose any style. Why are my expenses not changing? My expenses constant? Oh no, there I see my expenses jump up. Not as exciting a graph, but we know how to do it. I can do a Control Z and try a different chart if I want, or I can just change the chart. I could do instead of expenses, I could do ending balance. Let's see what that looks like. This will be little more dramatic for my constituents if I want to convince them to help support us more. If I do ending balance and do a chart, let's try a line chart. There's my ending balance going down, down, down. Interesting that it just clips. It doesn't show numbers. If I remember how that's done, then I put a title on it. Call it. Change my title here. I'll call it expenses. No, that's my ending balance.
And you have the title chart, right?
And if I want to put this on another page, I can right click. I want to put it on a different. I want to move it to a different page. How do I move it? I thought I could move it with the right click. There we go, move chart. The move chart lets me put it on a separate sheet. If I want to keep it on this same sheet, I can just grab it and pull her down. Oops. I have to select the right thing. That's what gets a little tricky. Select the whole chart. I can grab it and put it down. This was a line chart.
Is that under?
It was under these line or area charts.
Oh, that's right.
And lots of varieties of charts. Everyone comfortable with doing Excel? Here, let me do you a few more practice things in Excel just to get you ready for that. Other things that are confusing to some people, there you're going to need to do the if formula. Remember the format of the if formula.
Isn't that if parentheses?
Yeah, it looks like this. I'll give you the standard
Okay.
look of it. It's going to look like equal if, and there's going to be some condition, like a greater than, less than. What comparing? Typically, you're comparing something.
And then the true and the false.
Yeah, then there's a value if true, and then there's a value if false. For example, let me think of an example. Suppose we have, I'll do the Aunt Penny gift thing. Or no, we'll do more realistic. We get a bonus. We receive a bonus. A bonus when our sales exceed the quota. All right, so here we have our bonus. Say we get 10,000 is the specified bonus. Our quota today is 50,000. Our sales, let's put in, we'll just put in, we're going to change this number, so we'll start with 30,000. Our bonus equals if. All right. Given that sentence, I get a bonus when our sales exceed the quota, and allowing me to adjust our sales, because this will be calculated from another accounting table. What would this if formula be for our bonus? What's the condition?
So if our sales is greater than the quota.
Yeah, sales exceed quota. You have to convert that to a our sales greater than quota. That's what that means. So our condition is that cell
B43 is greater than 50,000.
Yeah, or B42. We always point to the quota cell. And if and if this were a big a monthly projection, it would be absolute reference because the quota and bonus value for bonus would be in an assumptions table. Since I'm not doing a copy, I'm just going to leave it without the absolute reference. And what do we get when that is true? Yeah, we get the bonus, which is sitting right there.
If not, you get 0.
And if not, even though I didn't say, and if you don't, it gets 0. That's just implied. And I can skip hitting the right parenthesis, but just to be careful, I'm going to give it the right parenthesis. And because my sales right now is not exceeding the bonus, I get a 0. Let's change that. Oh, I missed a 0 in that. There we go. Now we get our bonus. So that if will change based on what's in this cell. So there's one example.
So it's always something greater than or equal to whatever the condition is.
Yeah.
And then every value, so the value that you would receive if it was that is you
Right.
always specify, you know, the bonus.
Yep.
And then it will put the 0 in, or you have to put
You have
it
to
there.
put, you have to type, let's try it. I think, let's see, if I don't put that third parameter in, instead of giving me a number, it gives me false. So I want to add a 0 there, so instead of giving me false, it gives me a value of 0. Let's try that.
Because that way it's
So this thing.
Let's try now. Let's put a third. Let's add another 0 here and see if that turns to true or if it actually turns to there. So I'll get a false without the third parameter.
So if you took away both, it would say true or false.
Probably true or false. Yeah. Hey, let's try that and see. Oh, it doesn't like it if it doesn't have. It has to at least have the 2. So, but it's best just to remember I need 3 things: value of true, value of false. And that typically a sentence like this implies the value of false is 0. Let's see. Oh, remember the various formulas. How do I get the largest of those cells there?
You get the largest of these cells. There's an entire summation that you can choose that gives you the total value. Like a
It's even
max.
easier than that. It's called a max. So if I go to my home page,
oh,
it is hiding up here. And remember these formulas. You're expected to remember these standard formulas. So there's max. That gives me the biggest of some numbers. Okay? And then I drag through the numbers that I want to get the max of. If I want to get the count of numbers above,
Same tool.
I use count. And now, watch what happens if I select a larger area. It still tells me, oh, there's only 4 numbers in those cells above. Even though it's counting a large area, what count means, it counts how many numbers you have actually entered in a location, a range of cells. And occasionally that's useful. Remember, if you're given a hint at a formula like median of above cells, remember how I can look for functions here and look through a category or search for a function. And look at that, there is a function called median. And it shows me the little arguments, and I can just select the range of the numbers by grabbing through a range of numbers and entering. And it determines the median based on Excel's definition of median. So if you're given, and I think in one place I do give you a hint, show me a particular function. Remember, you can always hunt for functions using that little function there and search for a particular one if you know it has a particular value. Remember absolute referencing. Absolute reference to bonus. What would that look like? if I want to do an absolute reference to the value of the bonus right there, what would that look like? It's in B41. Yeah, you just put stickies around it or hit F4. That is the absolute reference to the bonus. Just to remind you of that concept. All right, so there's a few other things in Excel. Basically, review your projects in Excel, knowing the various functions, adding up numbers, giving a graph of numbers, and then let's do a quick little practice. Well, you know what? The other part is, let's just do the quick PowerPoint one. Remember the animation in PowerPoint. That's the most I call it the most complex thing in PowerPoint. Let's just go over quickly in PowerPoint. Some quick animation here. I'm just going to do one thing here, and then we'll be done for today. In PowerPoint, say I want to animate something. I'm going to just choose one slide, change its layout to a blank slide. I'm going to put in a shape. And I'll just pick a cute little shape here. All right. When I click on that shape, I want it to jiggle around a little bit, to teeter. Every time I click on it. Okay, Animations tab. Add an emphasis animation, not a entrance animation. If I only have one animation to a shape, I simply can select its animation. Now what do I do next?
You put animation pane, right?
I could.
And then you
also do on click.
This is not what I changed. I am waiting for a click. This is the guy you want to do. This says how it gets triggered. Right now, I click anywhere. That's what this means. Trigger means on click of that object. Then it shows a trigger in the click. Now let's play it and see if it works. Oh, I'm in the wrong. I have to choose my slideshow setup show to play on the right monitor here. All right, now I'll play it. When I click on it, see how I have the little hand pointing? That's the emphasis animation when I click on it. That's an easy one for people to forget. Now, what if I want this to enter and then when I click on it? A very common mistake is people change this animation rather than adding an animation. Let's add an entrance animation. Now, let's see what it does. Nothing there. Entrance animation. Now the emphasis animation. And that happens multiple times. And of course, I can make a sound play. Remember how I can do the sound? I can either go up to I can click that trigger animation there, or click over here in the animation pane and choose my options here, like playing a sound at the same time. And then when I play it, every time I click it, there's the entrance animation and there's the sound and teeter. Okay, that's a little practice for the PowerPoint part. You'll have a short animation practice in PowerPoint, some basic Word practice with works cited or just formatting some text, and then the main part will be an Excel project and a Access project. All right, and remember it's Monday, can come here anytime. Probably I'll be around here probably by 9. So
On the Word and,
PowerPoint.
yeah, they're gonna be kind of relatively short.
Yeah, yeah.
For the extra credit ones that we have on here,